Yesterday, the Green Bay Packers made one of the biggest all-in moves in recent NFL history, trading for premier edge rusher, four-time Pro Bowler, two-time All-Pro, former Defensive Rookie of the Year, Micah Parsons from the Dallas Cowboys. Today, we're going to discuss what this means for the Green Bay Packers, both in the micro and the macro, and why they are now vaulted into Super Bowl contention. And as well, at the end of the video, I'm going to touch briefly on the Dallas Cowboys and why this actually could be a positive step for their future. Let's hop into today's video. Let's start with the micro on the Green Bay Packers, and my biggest complaint or reason that I didn't believe in the Green Bay Packers headed into the 2025 season was simply their lack of elite high-end talent to push them over the edge when it came to winning big-time games and winning playoff games for Green Bay. The Green Bay Packers clearly felt the same way and went all in and got a premier edge rusher in Micah Parsons. This is a move that could change the trajectory of the Green Bay Packers, really, season, but next half decade. The Packers defense under Jeff Hafley in 2024 was actually already a pretty good unit. 6th in yards per game, 6th in points per game, 3rd in forced turnovers with 31, and already 8th in sacks. This team now adds in Micah Parsons, who, whichever way you shake it, this guy is a top 3 to 5 edge rusher in the NFL today. And a defensive edge combination with Parsons and Rashawn Gary could go toe-to-toe with any edge rusher duo in football. Even Will Anderson Jr. and Danielle Hunter in Houston may have some stiff competition for best edge rusher duo in football now. And did this make the Green Bay Packers a perfect defense? No, I wouldn't say that. Kenny Clark's presence in the interior defensive line is certainly going to be missed. I'm not sure if they're moving Lucas Van Ness over there, they believe in the backups, or simply put, when it comes to the run game, they're just hoping Ajarian Cooper and Quay Walker can clean it up enough. That way on 3rd and medium or 3rd and long, they can tell Micah, Gary, and hell, maybe even Van Ness, pin your ears back, boys. Let's go get after the quarterback. And I actually think that that might work. As well, the one concern that I do have for the Packers defense still does remain their cornerback play. They lose Jair Alexander and bring in Nate Hobbs. And Nate Hobbs was a good player last year, but not a great. He ranked 102nd out of 222 eligible corners in coverage grade per PFF. Now, the Packers could be hoping that Carrington Valentine, who ranked 27th in that stat, does take a massive leap this year, but the cornerback situation is iffy, and so is the interior defensive line. It's not a perfect unit by any means, but is it better today than it was yesterday? I would say yes. Is it top 3? Maybe not, but top 10? Absolutely. So we've established that Micah Parsons improves the Packers defense for 2025 and going forward, obviously. And what does that mean for the Packers this particular NFL season? I think what it means is, instead of Green Bay Packers fans looking at their team as just a good regular season team that can push for the NFC North and maybe win a playoff game, they can now look at their team truthfully as legit Super Bowl contenders. And I get it, some Packers fans already were, but to me, there was too many flaws on this team for them to come out of the NFC and represent in the Super Bowl. Now, I think it's possible. I think that they are a tier 1 contender out of the NFC. You add in Micah Parsons to this defensive unit, and what was my biggest flaw on the Green Bay Packers for those that have followed the channel all offseason? A lot of good players, not a lot of great players. Kenny Clark's a good to great player, obviously, but Micah Parsons is elite. Micah Parsons has the ability to change any game and flip it on its head, and that includes playoff football. And in the NFC North, I actually think Micah Parsons is going to be more effective for the Packers than he was for the Dallas Cowboys. For starters, I think his edge companion in Rashawn Gary is better than DeMarcus Lawrence, especially when you factor in availability. But the big thing, look at the quarterbacks that Micah would have been up against in the NFC East for the next half decade. Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels, probably Jackson Dart, all guys that are fairly mobile. Now you look at the NFC North. Jared Goff, pretty stationary. Caleb Williams, mobile, but last year he was the most sacked quarterback in football. His mobility might actually be a flaw for him. And J.J. McCarthy, to be determined, he's coming off of a meniscus injury at 22 years old. Is he going to recover? Is he going to be mobile? Or is he going to be a pocket quarterback? Generally speaking, I would lean he's more of a pocket QB. Micah Parsons' impact for the Green Bay Packers, I'm not seeing this talked about enough, but could be greater than his impact would have ever been for the Dallas Cowboys for this reason. The competition in division is more stationary quarterbacks. And when you look at that, now the Packers, who were 1-5 in this division last year and really could have been 0-6 if it wasn't for a blocked field goal, now have a defensive line that can disrupt each and every offense that they face. An offense led by Jordan Love and Matt LaFleur and Josh Jacobs that we've seen already can go toe-to-toe with these NFC North teams. While they were 1-5 last year and it could have been 0-6, those were competitive, fun football games. A Micah Parsons addition is enough to flip 1-5 to potentially 4-2, 5-1, and hell, if things break right, maybe 6-0 in the most competitive division in football. And again, you talk about building those wins up. Now you're a 10, 11, 12 win team. Could the NFC playoffs run through Lambeau? We've seen the advantage that is for Philadelphia to have cold weather games. You bring the Rams, the Lions who play in a dome, the Vikings who play in a dome, the Buccaneers who play in Florida, to your field. Realistically, Green Bay and Philly are the only true NFC contenders right now that have a cold home field snow weather game advantage as to what they are used to playing in. Winning these additional regular season games could mean a ton for Green Bay. And I know I stressed this point before, but now that we're kind of going chronologically here, once you get into the playoffs, having a guy like Micah Parsons who could turn a 2nd and 5 into a 3rd and 12 on a key drive, could make a massive play, can wreck a game, can flip the script, is so big when it comes to going on a Super Bowl run. Because yes, you have to have good players all around the roster, but you also have to have elite difference makers. That is what Micah Parsons brings to the table for the Green Bay Packers. That is why their Super Bowl window is wide open starting now. And as much as I love this move for the Packers this season, I love it even more for them for the next half decade. Jordan Love and Micah Parsons, your two franchise cornerstones now, both 26 years old. You do have your head coach of the future in Matt LaFleur. Green Bay's always been great at building an offensive line. Is it going to be the best in football this year? I doubt it, but are they going to be a top 15 to 10 unit? They usually always are. You have time this offseason to find a Kenny Clark replacement on that interior defensive line. I promise you, it's a lot easier to find a good to great interior defensive lineman than it is to find Micah Parsons, and you have plenty of time because of the age of this group. Josh Jacobs is 28, but I think Josh Jacobs is a guy that's built to play into his 30s. You just drafted first-round talent Matthew Golden. How does he develop this year? How does he grow in his second year? The timeline for Green Bay has been severely stretched to now a really long runway of having your best players in their prime, but also a lot of time to fill in the gaps of whatever they need. Maybe Green Bay goes to an NFC championship game this year and loses, and then they can look in the mirror and say, we get a corner and an IDL this offseason, and shit, we could win the Super Bowl in 2026. While I do, again, want to stress this, Packers fans, the window's open now. The window's going to stay open for the rest of the 2020s, if we're being honest. As promised, I do want to touch on the Cowboys side of this because, yes, the Cowboys shot themselves in the foot with the Dak contract and paying their cornerbacks over Micah Parsons, and I get it. But I do think that for the situation that they were in, trading Micah Parsons was probably the best available option at this time because you realistically couldn't pay him, well knowing that this core wasn't going to win a playoff game this year, let alone compete for a Super Bowl. I just hope for Dallas's sake that they don't do what so many franchises do and commit to being mid. I'd move off of Dak too, personally. If any team came calling for Dak Prescott between now and next year's NFL draft, he would be on that team. I would be stock loading picks. I would be trying to get younger talent. Keep CeeDee Lamb around for sure, because his window is still the rest of this team. But Dak, you could go. Micah's already gone. And let's just rebuild this full culture. Is it going to work? I don't know. But what's currently going on certainly isn't. 2 additional first rounders is a nice piece. Kenny Clark, it's cool to see if you can compete right now. And they obviously had a problem in the run game. I'd move him too, if I'm being honest. The Cowboys have an opportunity here to hit the rebuild button, hit the reset button. If they don't do that, though, what are you doing? Because you did just trade away your best player. All in all, this trade was absolutely insane. My instant reaction to that with Javon is live on the channel now if you guys want to check that out. But sitting back and thinking about it more today, the Green Bay Packers are certainly Super Bowl contenders. The NFC just got a hell of a lot more interesting. The NFC North just got a hell of a lot more interesting. You know, I don't think 4 teams will make the playoffs from one division, but if there was never a division that had a shot at it, man, the Lions were a 15-win team last year. The Vikings were a 14-win team last year. The Packers were an 11-win team last year and just added Micah Parsons. And the Bears were not a good team last year, but I think we all could agree that they made a ton of improvements this offseason, and just the progression of their players should be seen under Ben Johnson. The NFC North is going to be a war zone, and the Packers wanted to make sure that they weren't behind in the arms race. I thought that they were before this deal. I thought that they've completely caught up after this deal. Micah Parsons is absolutely a game changer for the Green Bay Packers.